It's New Thought Tuesdays with our little post Thanksgiving renewal. The power of forgiveness. The power of forgiveness. We're talking about freeing your heart and reclaiming your joy. Free your heart, reclaim your joy, and it all comes through the sense of forgiveness. That's what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about how forgiveness restores emotional freedom and it opens the doors to joy. And then we have some practical tools to share for you. And then when we go into the inner circle, we are going to be talking about having a discussion about this forgiveness deeper and deeper, and a guided meditation as well. So if you'd like to join the inner circle, you can go to www.newthoughttuesdays.com and it will show you how you can get into the inner circle with membership and how you can join us for free for these talks. Hey, Richard.
Thank you, Dean. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Last week we talked about gratitude, and now we're going to talk about forgiveness. I love it. So I forgive myself. First, you got to forgive yourself.
Well, see, you say that right off the bat, and I truly believe that. You know, when we think about forgiveness, when I think about forgiveness, generally speaking, I'm thinking about some sense of judgment or rancor. I have some blame, some shame that I'm throwing in the direction of someone else.
Yeah.
So we're talking about judgment, rancor, blame, shame. Any of those sound like spiritual practices to you? I don't think so. That sense of having my own sense of judgments and then just pushing them your way and making you bad and wrong. Well, first place we would like to start is that idea of being aware of what you hold, those assessments, that blame, shame, regret, rancor toward yourself, and identifying where it is you can forgive yourself. But that's what we're going in today. Like, what is forgiveness and how do we use it?
Yeah. You know, in a spiritual sense too, forgiveness is like, because we're all interconnected, if you're holding on to grudges against somebody else, you're really just holding on to grudges against yourself, because we're all interconnected. And it's that emotion of anger, resentment that you're holding, you're throwing, like you said, you're tossing it towards somebody else. It just bounces back to you. It's a reciprocal universe. What you put out, you get back.
Oh, yes. I love the analogy of what is it when not forgiving somebody is like taking poison yourself and expecting it to affect somebody else. This forgiveness is a releasing thing. It is a spiritual practice of releasing that which does not serve you and releasing someone else who perhaps may not serve you. So I think the biggest thing that when I think about forgiveness, I think probably forgiveness of my dad. That was a forgiveness path that I was on for a long time. And I held a great deal of rancor towards this man who I don't hold any of this anymore. I've found that the forgiveness path has brought me onto a path of love, which I'm committed to. And in the process, spiritual doors just opened. As I have released the rancor against or about my dad or people in my life, it has opened doors for me of freedom. But Richard, when you forgive somebody, doesn't that mean that you're condoning what they are doing? If I forgive you, doesn't that mean, oh, that's okay, I accept what you did, it's okay, I condone what you did?
Yeah.
So it is the question.
No, here's the thing, you're talking about your own life, and I'll talk about my personal stuff too, is when I was going through a divorce and fighting over custody of our daughter, there was a lot of anger and resentment thrown out. And through my spiritual practices, was able to work through that. And now my wife and I have ex-wife, have a really good relationship. And so isn't that what you want to create? is great relationships with people. And if you can learn to forgive and not hold on to grudges and resentment, then you can heal not only yourself, but the people around you.
Yes.
And so, I was doing this spiritual practice. Um, well, it's called, what is it called? It's an NLP program thing where you go in and you go back in history and something that you didn't forgive way back when, and you forgive it at that point, and then everything else that led up to this point here today is forgiven, and it shifts the whole thing. It shifts your whole past history. And now you can move forward feeling good about yourself because you were able to forgive from way back then and take that forward. And so, uh,
And just to go back to the point we were comically kind of making, in that forgiveness does not mean that you're condoning what somebody did.
yeah,
Oftentimes people stop their path of forgiveness because they believe that's an expression of condoning some horrible thing that has happened. And that is not essential. That's not involved in the idea of forgiveness. It's really an idea of recognizing, as you were saying earlier, Rich, that we are all one,
yeah,
and that this holding on to the rancor, holding on to the judgment, holding on to that fear, doubt, worry, anger, hatred, when you are holding on to that, doesn't it just make sense that it's affecting you? And even if you express anger toward the other person, yeah, it may get through to them, but you're walking around in this angry place. Anger, hatred. Can you imagine? Better to have hatred and keep it close and have it and experience it every day when you are holding on to it, or better to say, you know what? I'm going to begin my path to forgiveness with authentically releasing this person in forgiveness for what they've done, even when I don't condone it. I was watching something on the news and just sent me right into prayer, where a gentleman whose daughter had been killed, and it was just a horrible thing. It was completely unexpected, completely out of the blue, in a very celebratory event was going on, and his daughter was killed just horribly. And the news clip was him talking to the defendant and expressing such deep hatred and rage. And great that great, not great, but I'm glad that he was acknowledging how he was authentically feeling, because that's so very important.
yeah,
And as we hold on to it, it just hurts us even more, hurts us even more.
yeah, yeah.
So, Richard, there's something new going around. This is kind of new to me, and it was someone, I forget who was calling on this. Forgive me, I'm not telling you the context, but
I
um,
forgive you.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Someone was saying, well, this whole thing of forgiveness, it's making the victims, and that was the word that they used, feel as though they have to forgive, or else the burden is on them to forgive. And that the victim, again, the use of the word, is burdening themselves,
Yeah,
this forgiveness. And I think the whole thing of that is the idea of, if you're still in that victim consciousness where you're blaming, shaming, regretting something, you have to work gently with yourself, authentically with yourself, to release the blame, the shame, and the victim consciousness as you are embracing more trust. Because forgiveness is really on the way to trusting that we are all one, and we are all part of the same creative infinite energy, even though we may take bad actions and we may be the recipient of bad actions. Having a sense of trust, releasing that blame, shame, and regret is so essential to my own well-being that I would rather the folks who are forgiving before they're ready to forgive, who there's okay, I forgive, but I'm really angry and upset. The idea in forgiveness is it's gentle, it's authentic, and it recognizes that we are all one and we all have choice. And so as we're forgiving, we're acknowledging that someone made a choice that we disagree with. But we're releasing that anger, we're releasing that rancor, we're releasing that fear, we're releasing that concern, we're releasing that victimhood.
Yeah.
And that's where the process of forgiveness is so helpful.
And I want to stress how necessary it is. I remember a long time ago, I saw this video, how they put on these sensors on these plants. And it was like a Geiger counter. It was measuring the energy of the plant.
Hmm.
And they played nice music, like classical music. The energy was in harmony. And when they started cussing and swearing and getting angry at the plant, all of a sudden the plant started to, you know, sine waves and stuff started to move all over in a different position and stuff like that. And so, you know, here's the thing: when you're throwing anger out at somebody else, you're affecting them and their health and their well-being. And not only that, but you're affecting yourself. When you hold on to that anger, it creates cancer, diseases, all kinds of things in the body, Temple, because it's an energy that is destructive. It's not an energy like love and forgiveness and joy and peace and harmony. It gives the body something to an energy that allows the body to just grow and nourish. And so holding on to anger, you hurt other people and you hurt yourself. And we don't want to do that. So it's really important to learn how to forgive. And so you can do that with us, join us for New Thought Tuesdays. And Dean Regan has his practice, right? Where you
Living
work
in
on
concert with life.
forgiveness.
Come see me at deanregan.com. And Rich, of course, has got the Infinite Filmmaker.
Yeah.
This is how you can reach us, so we can help you and we can coach you through. We can be your guides, your spiritual guides, and your spiritual support. It's kind of what we love to do. It's what we do at New Thought Tuesdays, and it's what when we come together here, and it's what we do in each of our individual practices.
Yeah.
I love how you're talking about. I love things like the Geiger counter for the plants. The plants were responding in this way. It's like, okay, that kind of stuff is just kind of cool to me. But it just brings out the idea that doesn't it just make good sense
Yeah.
that as you're railing against the world with anger, with resentment, with judgment, that it creates a world for yourself and those around you, and it increases your stress and it reduces your sense of well-being. So this idea of forgiveness, and it's only one in a series of tools that we use in our spiritual practice. The idea of forgiveness is such a wellness consciousness. It's such a spiritual consciousness. To have true forgiveness allows me to connect up with my sense of faith that something is going on here that is quite amazingly infinite, and that I have the power to utilize it, and to embrace it, and to gracefully use it in my life.
Exactly. And that power is within each and every one of us. We have the ability and the power to forgive. It's within us. It's innate in who we are as spiritual beings living a physical experience. It's within us to be able to forgive. We just have to allow that through spiritual practice to be able to reveal itself in and as and through us as unique emanations of the infinite.
Yep.
Yep. As the master said, forgive those, they know not what they do.
They don't know what they're doing. Forgive them. That's the modern translation. They don't get it. Forgive them. Move on. Don't
Yeah.
have to keep them in your life.
Yep.
You can make the choices you want to make based on your divine right relationships and what you're called to do. You're forgiving others. Let's go back to that idea of forgiving ourselves. For talking about this practitioner, I can get to the point where I can really get down on myself for not being good enough, for not being expressive enough, or not being effective enough. And when I move into that position, there's a place when I have a divine desire to be greater. That's different than judging myself that I'm not great enough. I'm great enough. I am great enough. I'm greater than great because I'm part of that wholeness that is in each and every one of us. And I'm grabbing hold of it and enjoying that sense of upliftment for myself. And sometimes that requires and allows me to look back and go, you're kind of not treating yourself very well, Dean. A little bit of forgiveness might be good here, or forgiveness for not treating myself very well, or judging myself. It's an opportunity for us. That's why we sit in quiet and meditation, to just rise above. I remember one time I was in meditation, and that sense of the witness, I virtually saw myself being a rock'em sock'em robot with myself. I'm like, well, that is something else. Release that. Forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Release that.
We were talking about some of the work that we do using different techniques and modalities to be able to heal. And one of them that I've learned from my University of Santa Monica was forgiveness. I forgive myself for judging myself for not being good enough. I forgive myself for judging myself for not taking care of things that needed to be taken care of. I forgive myself for judging myself for, and you just go on a rampage of forgiveness, holding on to your heart and just really forgive yourself. And then you can go ahead and forgive others.
Yes.
Yeah.
This rampage of forgiveness, you can use it out loud. You can journal it. You can keep it solely in your sense of meditation and allow your energy to just forgive, and even re-forgive. Keep forgiving until if you can't think of anything else to forgive for, forgive again. Just that sense of, I love that idea of the rampage of forgiveness, to just keep rocking on with your open-hearted forgiveness, even when it establishes boundaries of, I'm choosing to say separate from this situation, this experience, or this human being, or this group of human beings, but to forgive and to move on in upliftment.
Yeah.
Love that part.
Yeah. So join us on New Thought Tuesdays every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Every Tuesday, you can join us by going to newthoughttuesdays.com. Got some information there for you, and come and join us every Tuesday.
Come join us. We're going to go into the inner circle, which, as I said at the first of the live stream, you can go to www.newthoughttuesdays.com to find out more about it. We'll see you next week. Who knows what we're going to be talking about next week? I'm excited.